The night on Haven 9 was dark and cold. Heavy rain hit the metal roofs like angry drums. Wind howled between the empty houses on the edge of the colony. Most people were asleep, but not Captain Aaron. He sat near his small heater holding a cup of bitter coffee, staring at the flickering light. The war had ended 5 years ago, but the silence still felt like a battlefield to him. He lived alone now. His home stood at the far end of the settlement, close to the forest line. Nobody came this far unless they had to. Maybe that was why he chose this place, that went away from people, away from memories. Then came the sound. A soft thump on the door. Aaron froze. He listened. Maybe the wind. Then another sound, lighter, slower. A knock. Someone was out there. He reached for his old plasma pistol, the one he kept under the table, and walked to the door. The sound came again, under a whisper this time, faint, broken by rain. He opened the door halfway. At first he saw nothing but darkness and water pouring down. Then he looked down and saw them, 2 shapes, one tall, one small, curled up on the steps. Their thin blankets were soaked. The taller one lifted her head. Her skin shimmered faintly under the porch light, not human. Her large eyes glowed faint silver, full of fear. She wrapped her arms around the smaller figure beside her. A child. Aaron's heart stopped. Zalari, the same alien race he fought against for years. What were they doing here, at his door? The woman's lips moved, trembling. We'll leave if you don't want us, she whispered. Her voice was soft, tired, shaking with cold. Please, don't call the guards. My child. She's sick. Aaron stood still, rain dripping from his coat. Every part of his soldier's mind screamed, don't trust them. Zalari had burned cities. They had killed his friends. He remembered the war, the screams, the fires, the smell of smoke. And now one of them sat at his door asking for mercy. He could end this right now. One shot and the past would stay buried. But then the child coughed. A weak, painful sound. She tried to hide her face in her mother's arms. Aaron saw her tiny hand, fragile, shaking. Not a soldier, not a threat, just a child. He lowered his gun slowly. Who are you? He asked, his voice rough. The woman bowed her head. My name is Lyra. This is Rin, my daughter. We walked for many days. We have nowhere else to go. Aaron looked out at the dark forest. The human outpost was 10 kilometers away. How did they make it this far without being caught? The colony law was clear. No alien refugees allowed near settlements. Anyone helping them could be charged with treason. He should send them away. He should close the door, but he didn't. Instead, he sighed, stepped aside, and said quietly, Come in. Just for tonight. Lyra blinked in disbelief, then helped her child stand. They entered carefully, dripping water onto the floor. Rin looked around with wide, curious eyes like she had never been inside a human home before. Aaron handed them a towel and pointed to the heater. Warm up there. They sat close to the fire. Steam rose from their wet clothes. Lyra whispered something to her daughter in a language Aaron didn't understand. Her voice was gentle, full of care. The little girl smiled weakly. Aaron watched them in silence. The warmth of the heater filled the small room, but a strange chill stayed in his heart. Why are you here? He asked at last. Zalari don't travel alone, and not this far into human land. Lyra hesitated. Her eyes flickered to the window, to the dark outside. We are running, she said softly. They will find us soon. Who? Aaron asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled her daughter closer and whispered something only the child could hear. Rin's eyes closed. Within minutes, she was asleep. Lyra turned back to Aaron. Thank you, she said quietly, for letting us stay. We will leave before sunrise. You won't have any trouble because of us. Aaron nodded, but his mind was racing. They will find us soon. Who was she talking about? Human patrols or her own kind? What was she running from? He leaned back in his chair, staring at the rain outside. Something deep inside him told him this night was not just another lonely storm. Something had changed. As he began to drift into uneasy sleep, he heard a sound again. Faint. Far away. Footsteps. Metal footsteps. Marching through the mud, he opened his eyes, heart pounding. Outside, hidden in the rain, a red scanning light passed across his window. Someone was looking for them, and the night was far from over. The rain had stopped, but the silence that followed was worse. It was the kind of silence that made the air heavy, the kind that made people afraid to breathe too loud. Captain Aaron stood by the window watching the thin red light move across the fog. The scanner from the patrol drone faded into the trees, but he knew it would return. It always did. Behind him, the soft crackle of the heater filled the small room. Lyra sat near it, wrapping her child in a dry blanket. Rin was still asleep, small arms around her mother's waist. The little girl's breathing was uneven, her skin pale like moonlight. Aaron turned from the window. "You said they'll find you," he said in a low voice. "Who are you running from, Lyra? The humans, or your own kind?" Lyra looked up slowly. Her silver eyes caught the glow from the fire, and for a second Aaron saw fear. Deep, hopeless fear. "Both," she whispered. Aaron frowned. "That doesn't make sense." Lyra touched the side of Rin's face and said quietly, "Nothing makes sense anymore." He wanted to ask more, but something in her tone stopped him. He saw the shaking of her hands, the way she kept glancing at the door. She was not lying. Whatever she had seen, whatever she was running from, it had broken her spirit. Aaron went to the kitchen and poured hot water into a cup. "Drink," he said. "You need it." Lyra accepted it with trembling fingers. She sipped it slowly, then said, "We were not soldiers. I was a scientist once, before the war ended. My work was supposed to save lives, but it destroyed them instead." Her voice cracked. She looked down at her child again. "I tried to stop it, but I failed." Aaron sat across from her. "Stop what?" Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "A weapon. Something that should never have existed. Humans and Zalari made it together in secret. When I learned what it could do, I ran away. They said I betrayed both sides. They said I was dangerous." Aaron felt a chill crawl up his spine. He had heard rumors of such things during the war. Strange experiments, hybrid projects, super soldiers. He thought they were lies made to scare soldiers. But now, seeing the fear in Lyra's eyes, he wasn't sure. He stared at Rin. The child looked peaceful in sleep, innocent. "And the girl?" he asked quietly. "Is she part of it?" Lyra froze. For a long time she said nothing. Then she whispered, "She's all that's left of it." Aaron didn't understand, but he saw the pain in her face and didn't press further. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. "You realize if they find you here, I'll be in trouble too," he said. "Yes," she answered softly. "That's why we'll leave at dawn. I didn't come here to hurt you. I just wanted her to sleep somewhere warm for one night." Her words hit him harder than he expected. He looked at the small figure under the blanket, a mother's desperate love asking for nothing but warmth. Outside, thunder rolled again in the distance. Aaron sighed. "You can stay until morning," he said. "But if they come again, we'll need to hide." Lyra nodded, but her hands didn't stop shaking. She looked so tired, like someone who hadn't truly slept in months. Hours passed slowly. The rain turned to mist. The heater hummed softly, the only sound between them. Then, just as Aaron began to relax, Rin woke up crying. Her small voice trembled with fear. "Mama, they're here again." Aaron tensed. He moved to the window and looked outside. The forest was still, but the mist glowed faint red again. Scanners. "Multiple this time. Get down," he said sharply. "Lights off." Lyra held Rin close, whispering something in her ear. The child stopped crying, but her little body was shaking. Aaron grabbed his rifle from the wall, his old instincts returning. Outside, metal steps pressed into wet soil. The patrol drones were close, too close. Their lights swept across the trees, moving in perfect rhythm. Searching. Aaron's hand tightened on the rifle. Lyra's breathing quickened. The drones stopped right in front of his house. One of them spoke in a cold, robotic voice. "Unauthorized biosign detected. Open the door for inspection." Aaron's heart pounded. He looked at Lyra, who was already holding her child tighter. Her eyes said everything. "If they find us, we die." He stood by the door, torn between two worlds. The human he was, and the man he had become. The knock came again, loud this time. "Captain Aaron, this is Security Unit 4. You are ordered to open the door." He took a deep breath, forcing his voice calm. "System malfunction," he called back. "I'm alone here." Silence. Then the drone answered. "We detected 2 extra heat signatures." Lyra's eyes widened in terror. Rin buried her face in her mother's arms. Aaron knew he had one choice left. He walked to the control panel and flipped the breaker. The lights went dead, the heater silent. Total darkness. Outside, the drones beeped and moved closer. One of them pointed its scanner through the window. Aaron's heart thudded in his chest. Then a sound. A sharp crack. The scanner shattered. Sparks flashed across the wall. Smoke rose. The drones froze, confused. Aaron lowered the metal rod he had used to hit the scanner. He whispered to Lyra, "Hide! Now!" She disappeared into the shadows, clutching Rin tight. The night had begun again, and this time it would not end quietly. The first light of dawn had not yet touched Haven 9. The sky was dark blue, and fog covered the ground like a sleeping ghost. Captain Aaron had not slept. He sat near the cold heater, staring at the broken scanner on the floor. The smell of burnt circuits filled the small room. Lyra and Rin hid in the small basement below the kitchen. Aaron had covered the entrance with metal sheets and an old rug. It looked like nothing was there. He could still hear Rin's quiet breathing through the cracks, soft and steady. He had saved them once, but he knew it would not be enough. The drones would return with more men, real soldiers this time. Humans. Outside, something rumbled in the sky. Engines. Heavy ones. Aaron's heart dropped. He looked through the window. 4 armored vehicles rolled through the muddy road leading to his house. They stopped near the fence. The doors opened and soldiers stepped out, armed and wearing the silver armor of the human security force. Aaron recognized the man leading them. Commander Briggs, his old war brother, the man who once saved his life during the Battle of Arkenfield. Aaron muttered under his breath. Of all people, it had to be him. The soldiers spread out quickly, scanning the area. One shouted, "Thermal readings show movement inside." Briggs raised his hand. "Easy. Captain Aaron's house. Let's do this right." He walked up to the door and knocked, hard. "Captain Aaron, open up." "We need to talk." Aaron took a deep breath. He hid his rifle behind the chair and opened the door halfway. Briggs stood there, his armor still wet from the morning mist, a smile that wasn't really a smile on his face. "Morning, Captain," Briggs said. "You look tired." Aaron forced a calm tone. "Didn't expect company this early." "What's this about?" Briggs looked past him into the house. "Last night our drones picked up unknown life signatures near your home. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?" Aaron shrugged. "Maybe some animals. The forest's full of them." Briggs' eyes narrowed. "Animals don't break scanners." Aaron said nothing. Briggs stepped closer. "We're under direct orders from Central Command. We're hunting a Zalari fugitive, a female traveling with a child. Dangerous. She's wanted for theft of military data." Aaron's jaw tightened. He remembered Lyra's words. "Both sides are hunting me." He said slowly, "You think she came here?" Briggs smirked. "Let's find out." He motioned to his men. "Search the place." Aaron's heart pounded. "Wait, you need a warrant," Briggs laughed. "You think we need paper out here, Captain? Come on. You know how this works." 2 soldiers pushed past Aaron and began searching the living room. Another scanned the hallway with a thermal reader. The machine beeped once, then went silent. Aaron forced himself to stay calm. "You're wasting time, Briggs." Briggs turned, his voice low. "If you're hiding them, Aaron, you'll go down with them." Aaron met his eyes. "You really think I'd protect an alien after what they did to us?" Briggs studied his face for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "You were always loyal." He signaled his men to stop. "All right. Let's move on to the next sector." The soldiers began to leave, their boots thudding on the metal floor. Briggs turned at the door and said, "You should fix your scanner. Command won't like broken equipment." "Makes you look suspicious," Aaron nodded stiffly. "I'll take care of it." They walked away. The vehicles roared back to life and disappeared into the fog. Aaron closed the door quietly and locked it. Then he dropped to his knees and pulled up the rug. The metal sheet moved with a groan. Lyra crawled out, holding Rin close. Her face was pale, eyes full of terror. "They're gone," Aaron whispered. "For now." Lyra's voice shook. "They'll come back." "They always do." Aaron sat beside her. "You said you were a scientist. What did you take from them?" She hesitated, then pulled a small metal cube from under her cloak. It glowed faintly blue. "This," she said. "It holds the research files for Project Phoenix." Aaron frowned. "Project what?" "The program to create something new. Something not human or Zalari," Lyra said. "They wanted to build a weapon that could think for itself, feel no fear and obey no one. I stopped them before they could finish. Aaron's eyes went to Rin. The little girl was watching him with quiet curiosity. Is she? He couldn't finish the question. Lyra nodded. Yes, she's part of it. But she's not a weapon. She's just a child. My child. Aaron looked away, trying to make sense of it all. His world, everything he believed about the war, the peace, the enemy, felt like it was breaking apart. Lyra placed her hand gently on his arm. I know what you're thinking. But she's not dangerous. She can feel what others feel. She can calm pain, fear, even hate. Aaron remembered how calm he had felt when the girl looked at him the night before. The sudden warmth, the strange peace. He whispered, What do they want with her? Lyra's voice trembled. To finish what they started. Outside, a distant rumble echoed again, more engines approaching. Aaron stood quickly. They're not done searching. Lyra clutched her child tight. What will you do? Aaron checked his rifle and said, Whatever I have to. The light outside grew brighter, red and blue flashing through the fog. The soldiers were back. And this time they weren't just looking. The war Aaron thought was over had just returned to his doorstep. The sun never truly rose on Haven 9. A pale gray light slipped through the fog, touching the metal roofs like cold fingers. Captain Aaron sat at his desk staring at the glowing cube Lyra had shown him, the one she called Project Phoenix. The cube pulsed softly, as if it were breathing. Each flash painted the room in pale blue. Aaron felt uneasy. He had seen weapons, machines, and codes during the war, but this thing felt alive. Lyra stood near the window, watching the sky. Rin was asleep on a chair wrapped in Aaron's old jacket. Her small face looked peaceful, too peaceful for what they were facing. Aaron finally spoke. You said this project was made by both sides, humans and Zalari. Why would we work together after fighting for years? Lyra turned from the window. Her voice was calm but tired. Because they were afraid. After the war, both sides realized how close we came to extinction. So they tried to create something stronger, a perfect being built from both races. A weapon that could never rebel. Aaron frowned. And they failed? Lyra shook her head. No, they succeeded. But they didn't understand what they had made. She walked closer to the cube and touched it gently. They built life, something that could feel both human love and Zalari unity. They thought it would obey them. But it didn't. Aaron leaned forward. You mean the child? Lyra hesitated. Yes. Rin was born inside one of the Phoenix labs. I was the lead geneticist. They told me it was for peace and to build a being that could stop war forever. But when I saw what they were doing, when I realized they were turning her into a tool, I took her and ran. Aaron stared at the sleeping child, his throat dry. You stole their experiment. Lyra's eyes glistened. No, I saved her. For a moment, the only sound was the faint hum of the cube. Then Aaron said, So that's why they're after you. To take her back, Lyra nodded. She's the key to something they don't understand. Her mind connects emotions. She can feel pain, fear, anger, and calm it. Imagine what soldiers like that could do on a battlefield. No fear, no mercy, no heart, Aaron whispered. So they want to make more of her. Yes, Lyra said softly. And they'll destroy her if they can't control her. Aaron stood up and walked to the window. The fog outside had begun to thin. He could see the outlines of patrol towers in the distance. They were watching the colony closely now. He had seen this before, when Command was hunting something dangerous. He clenched his fists. We need to get you out of here. Lyra looked surprised. You'll help us. Aaron didn't answer right away. He was thinking of the old battlefield, the faces of men he had lost. He remembered Briggs, loyal, ruthless, obeying orders without question, and now he was hunting a woman and a child. War taught me one thing, Aaron said finally. Sometimes following orders is worse than breaking them. Lyra's lips trembled, but she nodded. There's an old launch pad in the Eastern Valley. It was used for supply ships. If we can reach it, I can send a message to the outer colonies. There are people who will help. Aaron grabbed his rifle and pack. Then we move before sunset. But before they could take another step, a sharp sound filled the air, a high-pitched whine from the cube. The blue glow turned bright white. Rin woke up, crying softly. Mama, it's calling again. Aaron backed away. What's happening? Lyra knelt beside the cube, panic in her eyes. They've found us. The cube is linked to their network. It just sent a trace signal. Aaron cursed under his breath. How long do we have? Minutes. He ran to the basement door and threw it open. We can't stay here. Pack what you can and move. Lyra picked up Rin, holding her tight. The little girl clung to her, whispering, They're angry, Mama, I can feel them. Outside, a low rumble began. Engines again. Louder this time. Aaron looked through the window and saw dark shapes moving through the mist. Hovercrafts, soldiers, drones. He turned back to Lyra. You said she could calm fear, right? Yes. Tell her to help me then, Aaron said, gripping his rifle. Because I'm about to do something stupid. He moved to the front door and looked out into the fog, where red lights flashed like eyes. The air was heavy with the sound of machines. For a moment, Aaron's mind screamed at him to run, to save himself. But then he saw Lyra's arms around her child, saw the way Rin looked at him, trusting, unafraid. Something inside him changed. The soldier in him died and something human took its place. He turned to Lyra and said, Get ready. When I open that door, you run to the forest. Don't stop until you reach the valley. Lyra's voice broke. What about you? Aaron smiled faintly. Someone has to hold them off. Before she could answer, the door shook under a heavy hit. Metal cracked. A voice shouted from outside, Captain Aaron, open the door. You are under arrest for harboring enemy fugitives. Aaron raised his rifle and took a deep breath. The fog outside glowed red. The war had returned, but this time, he wasn't fighting for orders. He was fighting for a mother and her child. The door shattered with a roar. Metal splinters flew across the room, hitting the walls like sparks from a forge. Captain Aaron fell back, shielding his face. Soldiers in gray armor stormed through the smoke, shouting commands, Get down! Don't move. The red beams of their scanners danced across the room. Lyra clutched Rin close, crouched behind the overturned table. Aaron fired once, the plasma bolt striking a soldier's weapon. The man fell back with a scream and the rest ducked for cover. Go! Aaron shouted to Lyra. Through the back door. Run! Lyra didn't argue. She wrapped her arms around her daughter and ran through the kitchen, the girl's small hand gripping her sleeve. The back door flew open and cold air rushed in, filled with fog and the smell of wet soil. Aaron stayed behind, firing short bursts to slow them down. His old instincts returned. Aim, fire, move. The house shook under the blast of grenades. Stop resisting, Captain. Briggs' voice thundered from outside. Don't make me kill you. Aaron gritted his teeth. You'll have to try harder. He grabbed his pack and ran after Lyra, diving through the back door as another explosion ripped the living room apart. He landed hard on the wet ground. The forest loomed ahead, dark and thick with mist. Lyra was already running between the trees, Rin in her arms. Aaron caught up quickly. This way, he shouted, pointing toward the old supply tunnels. He knew these woods better than most. He had patrolled them during the war. There was an old escape route, a forgotten tunnel that led to the eastern valley. Behind them, searchlights cut through the fog. Drones buzzed like angry insects. Lyra's breath came in short gasps. They're getting closer! Aaron looked down at Rin. The little girl was shivering, whispering something he couldn't understand. Lyra pressed her ear closer and whispered back, Not now, Rin. Stay with me. But the child's eyes were glowing faint blue. She wasn't crying. She was calm, and too calm. Suddenly the sound of the drones changed. Their whine softened, then slowed. The lights flickered. Aaron looked back in shock. The machines were drifting off course, moving in circles like they were confused. What's happening? He asked. Lyra answered between breaths. She's helping us. Rin's eyes brightened for a moment, then dimmed again as she buried her face in her mother's shoulder. Aaron stared at the sky. The drones had completely lost them. Whatever she's doing, tell her to keep doing it. They reached the old mining ridge. The entrance to the tunnel was half buried under rocks, but Aaron knew where to look. He pulled aside a metal panel and revealed a narrow passage leading underground. Inside, he said, we can rest for a while. They crawled through the tunnel, their lights flickering against the wet stone walls. The air smelled of rust and earth. Water dripped from above. After a few minutes, they reached an open chamber, an old maintenance station, forgotten and quiet. Aaron dropped his pack and listened. The sounds of pursuit were gone. Only silence and Rin's soft breathing filled the space. Lyra sat against the wall, holding her child close. Her eyes glistened with exhaustion. "She's burning up," she whispered. "Using her power weakens her." Aaron knelt beside them. "She saved our lives. She's stronger than most soldiers I've known." Lyra smiled faintly. "She's still just a little girl." Aaron looked at the child again. There was something peaceful about her face, as if she belonged to another world untouched by hate. He turned to Lyra. "If we reach the valley, can that old launch pad still work?" "Yes," she said weakly. "It's connected to the outer colonies. My people can hide us there." Aaron nodded. "Then we move at first light," but rest didn't last long. A faint hum echoed through the tunnel, mechanical, sharp, and growing louder. Aaron stood quickly. "They've got scanners underground now." Lyra hugged Rin tightly. "We can't go back." "Then we go forward," Aaron said, pulling her up. The tunnel splits ahead. "If we keep moving east, we can reach the surface near the valley." They moved fast, their steps splashing through puddles. The light behind them grew brighter, drones entering the tunnels. Rin lifted her head weakly and whispered, "Mama." "They're scared too," Lyra frowned. "What do you mean?" "The soldiers," Rin said softly. "They don't want to do this. They're just afraid." Aaron's heart tightened. He looked at the little girl and said quietly, "If only fear could be turned off as easily as a switch." Suddenly, the tunnel wall ahead opened into daylight. They had reached the exit. The eastern valley stretched before them, wide and golden under the weak sun. Far away, Aaron could see the rusted towers of the old launch pad. Hope flickered for the first time. "Almost there," he said, but hope didn't last long. A loud crack split the air. A blast hit the ground near them, throwing dirt into the sky. A human drone gunship appeared from behind the ridge. "Go," Aaron shouted. "Run for the pad!" He fired back, plasma bolts cutting through the smoke. Lyra ran with Rin in her arms, stumbling but not stopping. The gunship fired again, tearing up the ground behind them. Aaron shouted, "Keep going. Don't stop." Rin turned her head slightly and raised her small hand toward the sky. A sudden burst of white light flashed around the gunship, silent but powerful. The machine spun out of control and crashed into the hills. Aaron froze. "What did she—" Lyra didn't look back. "She's not a weapon, Captain. She's a miracle." Aaron stared at the smoking wreck and whispered, "Maybe both." They kept running toward the valley as smoke rose behind them. For the first time, Aaron saw a path that might lead to freedom, or to the end of everything. Smoke drifted through the eastern valley like a gray curtain. The wrecked gunship burned in the distance, its flames flickering against the morning mist. The air smelled of metal, ozone, and fear. Captain Aaron moved quickly through the tall grass, keeping low. Lyra followed close behind, carrying Rin. The child's small hands clutched at her mother's collar, her face pale but calm. Ahead, the old launch pad rose from the earth, a wide circle of cracked steel surrounded by rusted towers. The last time Aaron had seen this place, it was filled with noise and light, ships taking off toward the colonies. Now it was dead, forgotten, like him. They reached the center of the pad. Lyra set Rin down gently and ran to the control station. Dust covered the old screens. She wiped one clean, pressed a few buttons, and the console hummed weakly to life. "It still works," she said, her voice trembling, "but the launch systems need power. We'll need a few minutes." Aaron looked toward the ridge behind them. The hum of engines echoed again, and more soldiers. He saw dust rising, armored vehicles moving fast. "You have 2 minutes," he said. "Maybe less." Lyra's fingers moved quickly across the screen. "If I can send a signal to the outer colonies, they can send a rescue craft." Aaron nodded. "Do it, I'll hold them off." He took cover behind an old cargo crate and checked his rifle. Only 2 energy cells left. He had fought wars with less. The first vehicles appeared over the ridge. Drones hovered above them like black birds. And at the front of it all, Commander Briggs. His armor gleamed under the dull light and his eyes burned with cold anger. He lifted a loudspeaker. "Captain Aaron, you're under arrest for treason. Step away from the fugitives." Aaron shouted back, "Turn around, Briggs. You don't know what you're doing." Briggs laughed. "You think I don't? That woman stole military secrets. That child is a weapon. You were supposed to kill things like them, not protect them." Aaron aimed his rifle but didn't shoot yet. "She's not a weapon. She's alive. She's more human than the men who sent you." Briggs raised his hand. "Fire." The valley exploded with sound. Plasma bolts tore through the air, slamming into the launch pad. Metal screamed. Sparks flew. Aaron ducked behind the crate and fired back, hitting a drone out of the sky. It spun wildly and crashed near the tower. Power at 40%, Lyra shouted. Almost there. Work faster, Aaron yelled. Another shot grazed his shoulder, burning through his jacket. Pain seared through his arm, but he kept firing. The soldiers advanced, moving in formation. Aaron could hear Briggs shouting orders, cold and precise. Capture the woman alive. Kill the man if he resists. Aaron gritted his teeth. Same old orders. Same old war. He took a deep breath and ran out from cover, shooting until his rifle clicked empty. He grabbed a fallen soldier's weapon and kept going. The noise woke Rin. She stood beside her mother, watching the battle with wide eyes. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Mama, he's going to die. Lyra knelt beside her. No, Rin. Not if we finish this in time. But the child didn't move. She stared at Aaron, her small hands trembling. He's scared. Then something changed in the air. A soft hum began around her, faint at first, then stronger. The wind shifted. The ground vibrated gently like a heartbeat. Aaron froze mid-step. He felt warmth spreading through his chest, not heat, but calm. His fear vanished, his pain faded. The battle sounds seemed distant. The soldiers, too, began to hesitate. Some lowered their guns, confused. Their movements slowed, their anger melting into silence. Briggs looked around in disbelief. What's happening? Lyra gasped. She's using her gift. Rin's eyes glowed silver. The same light spread around her, soft and pulsing. It reached the soldiers, touched the drones, even the burning wrecks. Aaron dropped to one knee, overwhelmed by the strange peace flooding through him. It wasn't control, it was understanding. Every person in that valley could feel what the others felt. The hate, the fear, the pain, all shared, all equal. Briggs stumbled forward, his weapon falling from his hand. His voice cracked. What is this? Aaron stood slowly, facing him. This is what they tried to kill, he said. And what she was born to save. Briggs fell to his knees, eyes wide, tears on his face. The soldiers behind him did the same. Lyra ran to the control panel. Signal sent. The rescue ship is on its way. The glow around Rin began to fade. She looked weak, swaying on her feet. Aaron rushed forward and caught her before she fell. Her small hand touched his cheek. It's okay now, she whispered. No more fighting. Aaron's throat tightened. You did it, kid. You really did. The roar of engines filled the sky, not human ones. A silver ship descended through the clouds, sleek and bright. The symbol of the outer colonies shone on its side. Aaron looked back at Briggs. The commander didn't move. He just watched in silence, his weapon forgotten. The ship landed gently beside the pad. Its door opened, revealing Zalari and human faces together. They reached out for Lyra and Rin. Lyra turned to Aaron, tears in her eyes. Come with us, Aaron shook his head. Someone has to explain what happened here. Someone has to make them understand. She stepped forward and hugged him tightly. You already did. The ship's engines began to hum louder. Rin looked at Aaron one last time. Don't be alone anymore, she said softly. Then they were gone. The ship rising, disappearing into the clouds. The wind carried silence again. The soldiers stood still, no one speaking. Briggs turned to Aaron and whispered, What did she do to us? Aaron looked at the sky. She reminded us we're the same. And for the first time since the war, the valley was quiet. No gunfire, no hate, just peace. The valley was silent now. The smoke had faded, the wind had gone still, and only the sound of broken metal swaying in the breeze remained. Captain Aaron sat on a piece of rubble near the edge of the old launch pad, staring at the empty sky. It had been 3 months since the silver ship took Lyra and her child away. 3 months since the war he never wanted came to his doorstep, and ended not with victory but with a whisper. The human security force had called it the Haven Incident. They cleaned up the battlefield, sealed the records, and told the colonies it was a containment breach. No one spoke of the alien mother or the glowing child. No one dared, but Aaron remembered every second. The fear, the light, the feeling that something had changed deep inside everyone who was there. He still had nightmares, flashes of silver eyes, the sound of Rin's voice saying, No more fighting, and yet when he woke, there was peace in his chest, a strange calm that never left. He spent his days repairing the old cabin. It was quieter now. The heater still buzzed. The coffee still tasted bitter, but somehow the loneliness wasn't as heavy. Sometimes when the wind passed through the forest, it sounded almost like a voice, soft, distant, kind. Then, one night, the voice became real. He was sitting at his desk, polishing the old plasma rifle he swore he'd never use again, when the communicator blinked. It hadn't worked since the battle. The screen was cracked, the signal dead. But now it glowed bright blue. Aaron frowned and touched the panel. "Hello?" A soft hum filled the room. Then a small image appeared, a flickering hologram of a young girl with silver eyes. Aaron froze, his heart racing. "You," the child smiled gently. She was taller now, her face older, wiser, yet still full of that strange, gentle peace. "Hello, Captain Aaron," she said softly. Her voice carried through the static, calm and warm. Aaron swallowed hard. "You're alive." "Yes," she said. "We made it to the outer colonies. My mother is safe. The others? They are listening now." He leaned closer to the screen. "Listening?" Nodded. "Humans and Zalari. They've started to speak again, not as enemies, but as people. They've seen what I can do, what we all can do if we stop being afraid." Aaron let out a shaky breath. "You're building peace," smiled wider. "Peace isn't built, Captain. It's remembered." For a moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of the signal. Then Aaron asked, "Why did you reach out to me?" "Because you believed in us when no one else would," she said. "You opened the door." Aaron's eyes glistened. "I almost didn't, but you did," said. And that choice changed everything. Behind her, the hologram shifted, showing a wide city, half human, half Zalari. Silver towers rose beside glass domes, lights flickering like stars. People of both species walked together. No soldiers, no fences, no hate. "This is Haven Prime," said proudly. "They named it after your home. A place for all who want peace." Aaron couldn't speak for a long time. His chest tightened. He had spent his whole life fighting for the wrong kind of victory. Now he saw the right one, and it had come from kindness, not war. Rin's voice softened. "Mother says thank you. She wanted to come, but the journey is long. The colonies are growing. There's so much to fix." Aaron smiled faintly. "She doesn't owe me thanks. I should be thanking her for showing me what humanity really means." Rin looked down shyly. "We'll come back one day, when the stars are safer, when there's no more hiding." "I'll be here," Aaron said. "Same old cabin. Same bad coffee." She laughed, a quiet, sweet sound that filled the room like sunlight. Then her tone grew soft again. "Captain, are you lonely?" Aaron paused. "Sometimes. You don't have to be," Rin said. "Every person I meet, every child who's not afraid of the other kind, they all carry a part of what you did. So even when you're alone, you're not." The light of the hologram began to fade. Rin's image flickered. "I have to go now. There's more to do." "Wait," Aaron said quickly. "Before you go, one question. Why did you choose me that night?" Rin's eyes sparkled. "Because you were the first human who looked at us and didn't see monsters. You saw a mother and a child at your door. That's where everything began." The signal broke into static. Her image blurred, then vanished. Aaron sat there, staring at the empty screen. For a long time, he didn't move. Then he stood, walked to the window, and looked up at the sky. The stars seemed brighter tonight, clearer, alive. And for the first time, he smiled without sadness. He whispered softly to the night, "No one should ever have to sleep outside our door again." The wind carried his words into the dark, toward the stars where a girl with silver eyes listened, and a new world was being born.